Now's your chance to go one-on-one with me, Dan Henderson. Just watch my technique series and catch the clue. You might win a trip to visit me for a one-on-one training session. Whether you're fighting in mixed martial arts or just submission wrestling, you always need to learn to control from the top position and not just control to control the guy. You want to control him to work for finishing the fight. Work for your strikes. You need to learn how to control from the guard, past the guard, side control, half guard, and the mount. Okay, I'm going to show you how to strike from the top in all those different positions. If you learn some of these positions that I'm going to show you, you will finish a fight.
Hit it!
Okay, now I'm going to show you working from the guard a little bit, working to pass the guard. I've got Nathan here, one of our Team Quest fighters, that he's going to help me out. Most of you know this is your basic guard position, okay? And if not, this is your guard position, okay? A lot of times you get stuck in here, the guy controls your hips real well with his legs. That's the idea. For him being in a good guard position is for defense, okay? And you need to get past this so you can be more offensive to finish the fight, okay? A lot of times your opponent's gonna hold you tight, hold your arms so you can't really do much to him, okay? You're stuck here, okay? The first thing is to just get a little space in between you, okay? To do that, a lot of times you wanna take one of your hands, either one, and just come across his face or his throat with your forearm and push him away, okay? Okay, doesn't matter which hand. Push away and get your elbows back, okay? Either into an underhook or just sitting up, okay? This is called posturing up, okay? Pushing your opponent down, elbows in, okay? You always want to control your opponent's hips when he's on bottom. Okay, you don't want to sit out here and let his hips go, okay, so he can work for submitting you. You always want to keep your opponent's hips controlled with your legs, okay? Knees on the outside, elbows in tight. You never want to have one arm out and one arm in, okay? Those are the basics that you always want to stick to, okay? Both arms in or both arms out is pretty much the rule of thumb. Okay, so once you get them opened up away from you, elbows in tight, okay, one of the best ways to open them up a little bit, I like to put a knee right in the middle, okay, and push my body back, push him away, and it opens his legs up. All right, one more time. Put your knee in the middle, push him back, okay. Now you like to take that knee that I just put in the middle and come up with it, okay? Put my foot in tight, okay, my knee in the middle. And depending on which side your opponent rolls to, okay, if he rolls this way, you take your knee that way, okay, right on top of his thigh, okay? And you hold it, keep your foot in the middle, okay? If he rolls the other way, you come this way with your knee. Right in here. And you want to plant your knee on the ground and keep your foot in the middle until you get your other leg out. Okay, and then take your foot out. All right, from when he's holding in tight, even if he's only got one arm, okay, if he's only got one arm, over, okay, come over with the side he's got an underhook on. Okay, he's over this arm. I can't come up to his face with this. Coming up to his face or his throat. I like his face. Push away. Right here. Okay. If there's striking involved, a good way to keep him from punching you or striking you is to put your hands on his biceps. Okay, now he can't do much. Now I'm going to sit up the rest of the way. Okay, once my head's back a ways, he can't get to me with any strikes from his hands. Okay, you still want to control his legs. Don't let him just go. You always want to control. Okay, if I'm in here, my hands are on his legs. Okay, if he moves the other, rolls this way, come across, keep my foot in the middle. It's real important. Okay, I'm going to control his head. I like to control a head and an underhook. And I'm going to take this other leg out and then take my foot out. Okay, if I take my foot out, drop this leg down so you can see. If I take my foot out first, he's going to control me in the half guard. He's going to lock my leg up and I can't get out the rest of the way. It's real important to keep your foot in the middle until you're all the way clear. Okay, let's try a different angle. Okay, turn around a little bit. Okay. Okay, it doesn't matter which leg you use, you can use either leg. Okay, whatever leg you use, put up right in the middle. Control his legs. Okay, and then go either way, depending on which way he rolls. Keep that foot in the middle, step over. Make sure you're controlling tight here. Okay, I don't want to sit up here and let him move around on me. You always want to control tight with your opponent. Okay, bring that leg out. Come in nice and tight. A lot of times when you're in your opponent's guard, he's controlling you tight, so you can't punch him either with over and under position, which we're in now. Okay, which leaves me one arm to strike maybe. Or if he's got me in tight, I got my hands free, but a lot of times he's going to keep his head up and in tight, and I can't do much. Okay, so you really need to open your opponent up. Okay, take one hand in, doesn't matter which one. What if he's got double underhooks? I like to put it right on his face, not the flat part of your arm, the bony part of your arm, your forearm, and push. Okay, sometimes you might put your other hand up here. Push with two arms. Okay, if he's got one in, one over, one under here, you got to use the hand that's free. Okay, right in here. Push. Here. I like to sit up right away. Control. Okay, your opponent's not just going to lay here, especially if there's strikes involved. He's usually going to be covering up. If he lays here, it'll be easy to finish. Okay. So if you punch him once, okay, a lot of times he's going to be covering up. That'll usually open up maybe an opportunity to pass his guard. Okay, or if he's punching you or trying to strike you, it opens up, an opportunity to pass his guard because he's not worried about his guard. Okay. One key thing that I like to do is put in my one knee in the middle. Okay, which means right in the middle of his butt, okay? Doesn't matter which knee, okay, whatever your preference is. Sit back, one knee here. Get your head up and back, okay? Don't leave your head right here for him to hit you. Your head's always up and back. I'm gonna control his legs. He's already trying to put his foot on my hip here. You don't want that. If he starts that, push it off, get your hips in a little bit better. Okay, I like to put my hands on his thighs or his knees. Okay, if you get down here too low, you're not controlling his legs. Okay, and he can move around. Okay, so if I'm up here, I'm controlling his legs pretty well. Hold them down. Get your foot up. The foot that was in the middle, the knee that was in the middle, that comes up to your foot. Okay, right here, and I can pass either side with my knee. Okay, I'm just going to pivot my knee down to one side or the other. Okay, and as I do that, I'm going to put all my weight down on my knee, and I'm going to keep my foot in the middle. Okay, and I also want to control something up top. Okay, either an underhook or his head. Okay, right here. My foot's in the middle until I get my other leg out. Okay, now that I got my other leg out, I'm going to take my foot off and sit in tight. Okay, I'm going to stay nice and tight if you can. Okay, one more time from the beginning here. In tight. Prime up. Sit back. Head up. Control his legs. And bring my foot up. Okay? Come over top. Control his upper body nice and tight. I left my foot in the middle so I can get my other leg out. Now I'm going to sit in tight. Okay? Whether you come to your knees or your hip, I want to stay tight and controlled. And I do that by keeping my elbow nice and tight to his body. Okay? And my hip tight to the other side. Or my knees tight right in here. All right, Nathan, we're going to show him a little bit more real time on this one. All right. So don't just lay there. Okay. Go ahead. So I got my foot still in there. Otherwise, he would have kept me in the half guard until I get to here.
Hit it!
Now's your chance to go one-on-one with me, Dan Henderson. Just watch my technique series and catch the clue. Okay, this next guard pass I'm going to show, I'm going to be standing up, so I'm going to have a little bit more space between us, but I still want to stay real tight, real good control of my opponent. Okay, my hips are in real tight. I'm going to pass his leg over, and I don't just throw his leg, I'm real tight with it, and I'll go into detail with that. Okay, so again, starting in tight, okay, I'm going to push up, or sometimes I'll get my elbows on his chest, okay? If he's in real tight, I'm gonna keep my hands in the back of his head, okay, and I'm gonna come up to my feet and pull up on his head. And that'll usually open his feet up a little bit. And from here, I wanna keep my hips in, my head up. I don't wanna just sit here with my head in range for me to get hit, okay? I wanna keep my head up a little bit, and occasionally I can strike him to open him up a little bit more. Okay, if he's holding on or doing something, I'm going to hit him, keep my hips in. Okay, now I can pass with either side right here. And again, don't just throw his legs. Control nice and tight. Pass it to the other hand. Okay, and as soon as I pass it by, I'm either going to control tight to his head in here. Okay, or I'm going to come right to a knee mount. Okay, right here, to work for my strikes. Okay. Again, hands up here, come up to my feet. Okay, when I pull up on his head, that usually will open up his feet. Okay. And then I'm gonna keep my hips in. Your opponent usually is gonna try and push you away a little bit. Okay, and scoot back. Okay, that's why you get. Go ahead and push a little bit. You gotta keep your hips in nice and tight. Okay, even if I'm standing up real tall here, hips are in. Okay, push the leg by. Okay, and I like to come right to the head. Okay, I'm still holding on to his foot until I get control here. Okay, and I like coming to the underhook in the head. Okay, sometimes I can pop up right away, hips in, and it'll pop his legs open right away. If I don't have my hips in, his legs will stay back, and I'm reaching farther back to get his legs. Sometimes he'll hook you in nice tight. It's harder to get in, get his legs across. Okay, or I'm giving him enough space to put his feet in front and push me away, okay? Which I'm not controlling him anymore. I'm gonna go a little bit faster real time this time so you can see what it looks like. It's real important. I'm gonna stress that you keep your head up away so he can't hit you with any strikes. This is where I like to end up, controlling the far side underhook nice and tight. Okay. Okay, this next pass that I'm going to do is one of my favorites that I've done for a long time. It's called a cradle pass. It works real well when your opponent keeps you in real tight. Okay, you got to remember to control his hips real well on this one. Okay, goes something like this. Okay, usually I like to start from an underhook. Okay, doesn't work real well from here. Okay, so from over and under it works real well. Okay, I always got to start with my knees outside of his hips. Okay, and if he's keeping you in real tight, this one works real well. Reach up and grab the top of his head, pull it sideways, put my elbow there. All my weight is on that elbow, and it's up high on his head above his ear. Okay, right in here. I pull it sideways, and as I do, all my weight goes over there. Okay, and then I'm going to push his hips away with my knee. And I'm going to take my other knee and push him farther away. So he's right in here. I don't have my head up in the air. Okay, head's in nice and tight, and I'm controlling. Okay, now I'm going to just slide down his leg a little bit. Okay, and step out of his guard. And I'll usually end up in the half guard right here. Okay, usually can't get all the way out of his guard. Okay, but half guard's better than a full guard, and I'll work from getting out of his half guard. We're going to start from the half guard here. A couple key points that we're going to go over that'll help you either get past the half guard into the side mount. Sometimes it's a little frustrating getting stuck in there. You can't get all the way past. Or if you can't get past, I'm going to show you some real good submissions that I do that'll help open the guy up, if not finish him off. Okay. So half guard, usually he's got one of your legs stuck in the middle here. Okay, and he's usually holding on to you pretty well. Good position that I like to be is always have an underhook in his head. This controls his body real well. Okay, I'm going to take my foot and walk it up towards his butt. Hold on tighter. Take my foot, walk it up towards his butt. So I'm going to point my knee a little bit towards the ceiling. Okay, once I get here, I can take my hand off this underhook and push his leg down. I don't like to just push on it. I like to shake it a little bit as I push. Okay, kind of opens up. Once you get your knee out, okay, then it's real easy from there. I'm going to take my knee either over to the mount, right here, okay, or I'm going to bring it all the way across, especially if he turns into me a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my knee across this side and sit right to my hip, back to my underhook. Okay, that's pretty much the simplest way to get out of the half guard. Another nice way to get out of the half guard when he's in nice and tight. Okay, I've tried walking my foot up a little bit. That doesn't work. Okay, and I'm going to take my other foot and put it on top of his thigh. Okay, right here. You got to remember, when I don't have another foot here, I don't have that good of base. So make sure you're aware that he can roll you a little easier. Keep your hands out wide. Okay, if he starts to roll, post out. Don't get too tight with your arms where if he goes to roll you one way or the other, ow, you're stuck. That might kind of hurt. Okay. So right here, foot goes on top of his thigh. Okay. Now I'm going to start walking my leg up and pushing with my other leg. Okay, once I get out, again, come right to the mount or bring my leg up in. End up right here. Okay, we're still in the half guard here. Sometimes you get stuck. You can't get out of the half guard into the side or mount position. Okay, I'm going to show you a key lock and a nice choke that I like to do from here, okay? We'll start out with the key lock. Okay, he's got your leg nice and tight. You're real stuck in here, okay? Sometimes I'll sit down to my hip and take my elbow across his head and control this arm, okay? And I'm gonna sit in here. Sometimes I can try and push on here, okay? And I can't get out. Usually when I push here, the guy's gonna reach down and try and grab my wrist, okay? That's a good opportunity to grab his wrist, okay? Get in a key lock. Grab his wrist and grab your own wrist, okay? I'm controlling his shoulder and his tricep, bicep position, okay? With my one arm, I'm pushing, okay? He reaches down, grab his wrist, okay? That's more of a setup than anything, okay? If he does grab your wrist, just turn your wrist all the way through and grab his, okay? I like to push it down to the mat and then reach towards it, my other hand, okay? Now once I'm here, okay, I'm just gonna take his hand and slide it along the mat, okay, right up underneath, okay, and you'll usually tap pretty good, okay, just right here. Okay, if you get a strong guy that likes to try and straighten his arm out to see if he can get out, don't just let go, okay, let him roll his arm so the bend of his arm is pointing up, okay, and then I'm just gonna pry up, keep his hand posted on the mat, and I'm gonna pry up with my other arm. Okay, and again, this is hyperextending his arm, and Nathan doesn't like it. Okay, one other little point that I wanted to make here is, if I'm pushing on his leg, okay, and he's not reaching down to grab my hand, keep pushing and work into getting out that way, okay? Don't wait for him to reach and grab your leg so you can key lock him, okay? Go right into the mount or go into the side, it's a better position, okay? So if he doesn't reach down, go ahead and keep getting out. Okay, now we're gonna go right into doing a nice choke that I like to do. Okay, the choke that I do, okay, you can either choke him out or almost always I get out of the half guard into the side position. Okay, let's spin around here. Okay, he's got your leg nice and tight. I like to start with the far side underhook. Okay, it's almost a must for this one. Okay, and instead of being down here on my hip, okay, I'll bring my leg up nice and tight. Okay, and my other hand is either going to be right here or just on his head. Usually I'm right here, nice and tight. Okay, a lot of guys like to turn to their side and try and push away on your knee. Okay, to pull back into guard. Okay. So I kind of bait him into thinking my knees, give him a little bit more space with my knee. Okay, so he starts to do that. I'm going to reach right over top of his head and fall to my hip. Okay, and when I reach over his head, I don't just grab his head. I reach in as deep as I can. Okay, and then my ribs are going to be right on the top of his head, and I'm going to lay right on top of his head. Okay, and I want to keep my leg hooked on his leg. Okay, I'm going to lay right in here. Okay, almost to my side. Now from the underhook, I just reach and lock my hands. Okay, and pull up. Let's get a little bit different angle on this one. Okay, right in here. Underhook position. I'm up on my knee. Okay. He'll try and sit a little bit, push it. Okay, that's when I'm going to reach in and grab his head real deep. Okay, and now I'm going to sit and lay on top of his head. Okay, I'm going to lay on his head with my ribs. Okay, and from this, it's real important to keep this underhook position because I don't want him to go down and start fighting hands right away. With my underhook, you can't really do that. Okay, until I get set position right here, I'm also going to keep his leg hooked. I don't want to get out right away. Okay, I'm going to keep this hooked a little bit. Okay, and once I get laying on his head real well, I'm going to reach in and grab my hand. Okay, and I just grab the side of my hand so my thumb is pointing towards his throat still. okay? And I'm gonna just pull my hand straight towards his throat, okay, and lay on it, okay? I don't know if you can hear that, but that was a good explanation of how this doesn't feel good on your throat, okay? It's a real good choke right here. And don't worry about him rolling over you, okay? Usually if I'm here and if he tries to roll over, I got my other leg here. I'm just gonna kick him off. I'll usually end up right in the side. Okay, you all right? Okay, so again, he's controlling nice and tight. My underhook, and I'm on my knee. Sometimes I'll give him a little bit more space right here. Okay, as soon as he starts to roll, I'm over top of his head, laying my ribs on top of his head. Okay, that's gonna tweak his neck sideways a little bit, right here. Okay, how's that feel?
Uncomfortable.
Okay, even without choking him, it feels very uncomfortable. Okay, now I'm gonna reach and pull here. Okay. Sometimes guys got a little bit more limber neck, okay, or he's fighting hands too well, and I can't get my choke in very well. Okay, all I'm gonna do is kick my leg out, come right into my side position. Okay, I'm not going to waste my energy and time trying to choke him when I'm not going to get it. Okay, that's kind of a thing that I've had to learn, wasting my energy on things that I'm not going to get. Okay, so one more time here, get a different angle. You guys can see how I crank his head this way. Okay, and again, you don't have to have him turn to his side and push on your knee to do this. I can reach right over top of his head and just go right into it myself. So I'm laying on top of his head with my ribs, okay? I'm pulling right up into the choke. Okay, and if I'm not getting that, if he's pulling on my hands, I'm just gonna kick my leg out. If I can, come right back to my underhook. And sit right here, okay? And this is where I like to end up. Okay, the next position that we're going to establish here is the side mount or side control. It's real important that you stay nice and tight and in control. You got this great position, you don't want to lose it and let him pull back the guard and regain better defensive position. Okay, you want to stay nice and tight. I like to stay in underhooks, controlling the head. Okay, I'm going to establish where to control first. Okay, if you're on your knees, keep your knees in tight. But remember, when you're on your knees, you still got a lot of space right here, okay, that he can maybe put his knee or elbow into, okay? If he's putting his elbow in there, just sit to your hip. I like to stay on my hip as much as I can. It's nice and tight, and he can't do a whole lot, okay? If you want to go back to your knees from here, pull up on his elbow, okay, and then sit nice and tight right in here. Controlling his one elbow by his head, one by his hips. Okay, stay nice and tight. Then we can work from there. Okay, so I can't emphasize enough just controlling your opponent from here. Okay, if you start to strike and you don't have good control, you're going to lose this position. Okay, so I always like to establish control, then work for my strikes. Okay, if you're able to elbow, you got lots of good elbows from here. Punches, if you're able to knee like I can in pride, okay, you can knee the opponent to the head from down here. Okay, so again, this is the starting position, control position right here. Okay, one of the best ways that I like to establish great striking position, from right here, I'm going to reach back to his wrist, push his wrist down, step over his arm, okay? And I like to scissor my legs a little bit, make sure you're pinching tight with your thighs on his arm. Okay, and from here, he's wide open. Okay, I like to keep my head down, it isolates this hand. If I'm up here with my head, he's gonna bring this hand over to protect himself. Okay, so make sure you're isolating right here. Head nice and tight, right here. Either punches, elbows, you can throw a knee occasionally, right here. Nice and good strikes. some pressure on his throat a little bit. Okay, so I always keep my head nice and low. Okay, stepping over here. And a lot of times the guy's gonna try and buck you off, get you off balance. Always use your other hand. Keep this nice and tight. Okay. Right in here. The next submission that I do right from here works real well with this. Okay. I'll get to this, I'll strike a couple times, and then I'm gonna look to step over this head also. Okay, so I'm gonna come up to my knees a little bit, step. I like to put my foot all the way up by his neck. Okay, and then I'm gonna walk right over top of it. Figure 4 your legs right away. Okay, right nice and tight. And again, don't let his arm out. Isolate it with your head. And I'm gonna reach up and grab his wrist that's right by my neck. Figure 4 my hands. Okay, and again, this is hyperextending his arm. Okay, I'm gonna straighten his arm out and lift up on the bottom one. Right here. So he's already tapping, I'm not even doing anything. Okay, just lift up on his elbow. Right here. Sometimes if he does get his hand across, okay, I'll switch arms. This one was underneath. I'll switch to this one and grab. I got a little bit more space here, even if I lose it all together. Okay, I got a great position. Keep your legs figure forward and slowly work on his arm. Isolate his arm, get underneath, come to there, come here. Okay, if he bends it this way, you can reach in. Okay, and bend it that way. Sometimes I won't step over his arm first, then his head. Sometimes I'll just step over both at the same time, especially if I get a good strike in. He blocks. Okay, right here, I'm gonna push his head, step right over both. Right into my figure 4 around the head, into an arm bar. Okay. This one's a little harder to get a choke from. You can squeeze it, making them uncomfortable. Okay, but again, you're using some energy that you don't need to. You can pretty much relax your legs in this figure 4 position. Okay, concentrate on working on finishing them with an arm bar here. Okay, so again, one of the best positions that you can get to strike in is just stepping over his arm, either that way. Sometimes you can bring your knee in, get your foot over. Okay, and if you don't have good control on his arm, if he's blocking in, I'll bring my bottom leg up to his body and then sit back to my hip, which I just scooped his elbow. Okay, and I'm gonna get in nice and tight before I start striking. I don't want to start striking when I'm loose. I might get one punch in and he's already out. Okay, control, then start your strikes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. These hammer punches work real well. Okay. If you can't elbow, these are the next best thing. Okay. Like in Pride, I can knee to the head, but I can't elbow to the head. Okay. But I got a glove on my fist usually, but there's nothing on my forearm. Okay. So these are real uncomfortable. This next position that we're going to go over is from the side control, walking around towards his head. We call it 69 choke or north-south choke. It's a nice little choke that not too many people do or have seen. Okay, so that works in your advantage. Okay, I'll start from my nice side control position. Okay, I'll reach over, underhook forearm. Okay, and I'm gonna walk around his head. Okay, a lot of times when I do that, okay, I'm gonna keep my head in the middle. Okay, and I'm gonna take my body nice and flat on him, especially if he's kind of looking towards me. I'm gonna take my body and make sure his chin goes towards my armpit. Okay, so you can smell the nice smells up there. Okay, turn his body. I'm gonna reach all the way around his head, as deep as I can. Okay, I want to be nice and elbow deep around him. Okay. And it's real important that his face is turned towards the arm you got around his head, okay? Now I'm gonna take my other arm and go right underneath my other arm. Roll up on your side a little. It's real important to see my lock. This arm's in deep, and it's up on top by his head. My other arm goes underneath his arm. I'm just going to fold my arms like this. Okay? I don't want to lock. Okay? Just like this. Cross my arms. All right? Now I'm going to slide back as far as I can. Okay? Cranks on his neck a little bit. Once I get this far, all I'm going to do is flex my bicep a little bit. Okay? And it chokes him pretty well. Okay? This is an ideal choke. I mean, I got it really good on him. Everything's nice and tight. So I barely have to squeeze. A lot of times when I do this in training or practice, okay, sometimes it takes 15, 20 seconds to get a nice choke. Okay, we're working around. It's not always real tight. Sometimes I gotta adjust a little bit, get nice and tight. Key thing is don't squeeze the whole time. I'm gonna slide back, my arms are relaxed. Once I get in this nice position, then I'm gonna squeeze. Okay? So get into that position. Okay, sometimes you lose your position a little bit. He might come under here. I'm gonna walk around his head. This arm's in deep. My body has moved his chin towards my armpit. Okay, my arm is nice and deep. The other arm goes nice and deep underneath, right here. And I don't want to start squeezing here. Okay, I'm just going to slide back as far as I can. Okay, and now I'm going to squeeze. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, but once you get here, this is a really good position. Okay, a lot of people don't know what to do. It's real tight around the throat. Sometimes it does take 15 or 20 seconds. Okay, you can do it with or without his arm also. Okay, I did it with his arm, which is what I prefer. But sometimes the guy's blocking in here with both arms up on his chest. I'll do the same lock but without his arm. Okay, right here. Choke's pretty much the same. Okay. You control a little bit more of his body when you have his arm. Okay. And I keep my head nice and tight to his chest, right in the middle. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is go right into what we call a knee mount. I'm going to show you some strikes to do from there. Okay. Some punches, some elbows, a few knees. Okay. So again, from this controlled position, right in here. Okay, I'll come up to my knees. I'll take my elbow, my far side, I got a nice tight underhook. I'm gonna take that elbow and put it on top of his chest. Okay, right here. I'm gonna step up right to a knee mount. Put my knee right on his stomach. Okay, my foot's in nice and tight. Okay, from here I'm gonna keep this against here. Okay, I don't want it up here, I want it right on my shoulder. If I can, right here. And I'm gonna pull and strike from here. Okay, elbows. Sometimes I can drop a knee down. Okay, but usually I'm just gonna be punching from here. 2 or 3, he's gonna be getting out of position. Especially if you're fighting like in the UFC where they fight in a cage. Okay, if I got him up against a cage, okay, now I knee mount, he can't really scoot away from me now. I got him stuck right here. It's a real good move to do when there's not much time left in the round either, you know, the last 15, 20 seconds. Okay, a lot of times I won't get it takes a little longer to set up a submission than 15 seconds sometimes. Okay, so I'm just gonna step up and strike and try and finish the round real strong. Okay, looks good to the judges. Also inflicts a lot of damage. He goes off to his corner thinking that he just got beat up a little bit. Okay, it's a real simple position. It's important to keep your balance though. Okay, I don't want to sit up here and just be leaning on him and off balance. Okay, where I can get rolled. Okay, where he can hold on to me. Okay, so I'm going to keep here. My head's up. good position. He might try and grab my leg. Okay, when he does that, I'll usually sit on his arm. I got his arm trapped now. Okay, we got some good strikes from here. Okay, now we've established the mount position. We're going to work on striking from the mount to try and inflict some damage to him. The big issue here is when you get to this position, don't just flail and strike without picking your shots. It's real important to pick your shots, control them, so you don't waste energy and you do more damage. Okay, so once we got to this position, I might hit him once or something, but he's usually going to be blocking. His hands are in. It's going to be hard for me to get by. Okay, I might get an occasional one by, but what I like to do is grab a wrist, push it across his face, striking. Okay, he might bring his hand up, his elbow up the block. Okay, so I'll come right in tight, grab his wrist on the other side, pull it in tight, and I'll come up, post my leg up, and strike. Okay, right in here. He's got one hand to block with. Okay, and if you can elbow, you can finish it real quick from here. Okay, I know on a couple occasions, I'll even catch the guy's other arm in there tight, which sucks real bad for him. You can get few good strikes before you can get that other hand out. Is that tough to get your other arm out? Okay, so you got a little time there. I know I've ended up blocking both hands in a fight before. Okay, the biggest thing is just pick and choose your strikes from here. Don't just flail. Okay, and that's pretty much the position. Control tight with your legs, with your knees. Okay, he's going to be trying to buck you off when you're striking. Post your hand. Okay, strike a little bit. Just kind of ride him a little bit. Try and come to this position. You can push his elbow across and strike. Okay, push it up. You just want to move his arms out of the way a little bit. Okay, and that's pretty much what I do from there, and it's been real effective for me. Okay, just to recap what we went over on this tape so far, it's been real effective, and if you can master all this stuff, it'll definitely make you a better fighter. Passing the guard, real important to establish a better position so you can finish a fight. Okay, passing the half guard, worked a couple good submissions from there, and once we got to the side position, that's when you're really starting to control and you're able to finish a fight even better. Okay, and inflict a lot more damage. And from the side, we moved up into the mount where we just worked on a little bit of strikes and kind of a little bit of tactics as far as your game plan shouldn't be flail on the guy and waste all your energy so you can't do much the next round. You want to pick and choose your shots. You inflict quite a bit more damage that way. So hopefully this tape has worked well for you. Work on it in practice and you'll be a much better fighter.
Hit it!
But Dan, what exactly is an underhook?
An underhook? Well, if you want to learn what an underhook is, you got to buy the clinch tape.